All right, hi everybody and welcome. My name is Kathleen Lobito and I am a marketing coordinator with the American Armed Forces Mutual Aid Association, commonly known as AAFMAA. So we're excited to have you today for this live presentation on a mortgage market update with AAFMAA Mortgage Services. So with us today is military mortgage advisor Kevin Iuppa, and he's going to go and break down what we're looking at today in the mortgage market. So before we begin, you're able to submit questions. So if you have any questions throughout this presentation, go ahead, type them into the bar on your screen and we'll try to address them as we go along. And if we don't make it to your question, don't worry. We're going to collect all those questions afterward and we will reach out to you personally with an answer. So I'm going to turn it over to Kevin to just kind of give us some opening remarks.
Thank you very much, Kathleen. I appreciate the warm welcome. And thank you to everyone that's tuning in this morning. I hope everyone's day is off to a good start. Today, I wanted to come to you live actually from, my house here, the one place I've been, consistently for the last 8 months, probably like everyone else, barely leaving with COVID-19 going on. And I wanted to just bring you a quick update as to, what's going on in the mortgage world, because I certainly think there is something to be known if you're not familiar with how things have been trending rate-wise. And so without further ado, this is the first, hopefully, of many market updates. Today is Thursday, November 19th, 2020, and this is what's going on in the market. All right, guys, so with everything else that's been going on over the last year, it's been tough. Obviously, I think we can all agree with that. But some of the silver lining, on this dark cloud that has been hovering over us throughout the year is that mortgage rates are at all-time lows. I mean, it's almost unbelievable. For a borrower with optimal qualifying criterion, which is typically, 740 plus credit score, single family, primary residence, we're talking 2.25% on a 30-year fixed loan. So, I mean, almost unbelievably low rates. It's certainly a great time to take a look at the opportunity that may exist for you to do a refinance on your current loan, to purchase a new home with such low financing costs. And honestly, a lot of times what I've been doing lately for my clients with 2.25% or right around there as the going rate, the cash out refinances are very popular right now. Pretty much every other debt that you have, with the exception in some cases of car loans, is going to be at a higher rate than 2.25%. So it makes perfect sense to obtain a new loan, as long as you have the equity in your home to do so, and consolidate debts under your new mortgage at 2.25% or right around there, because it's going to save you a ton of money in terms of financing costs for these other debts you have lying out there that are at 6, 7, in some cases credit cards, 18, 19%. It's a really great opportunity. So that was the gist of what I wanted to make sure you guys were aware of this morning, is that if you haven't heard about it, I'm telling you now, rates are extremely low. So please double check, see what's available for you. You don't want to miss out on this great opportunity to, save some money. No one wants to spend any more on interest on a mortgage than they have to. So it's a great opportunity and a great time to take a look, see what's available for you.
All right, so let's get to some of our questions. I've been monitoring them as they're coming in, and here's a really good one to start with. How much have rates been fluctuating day to day?
That is it's a very good question, one I get all the time. And what I would say is that at the beginning of the year, as COVID kind of slowly rolled out and became more prominent, and we actually started identifying the situation that we were unfortunately really in, things were up and down. It was almost kind of crazy. I mean, on a daily basis, from 9 o'clock in the morning till 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I could see rates change as much as 0.5%, which is almost unheard of. But kind of like everything else in our world, as time passed, things became pretty much regular life. We've become accustomed to these things, and it's the same thing with the investors that are adjusting their rates on a daily basis, or in this case on an hourly basis, that they became accustomed to the risk factors, and we all kind of settled in to the situation. And since that point, I've probably seen the market be the most consistent that I've ever seen. In general, rates do fluctuate, they always do, but it's not even really necessarily a fluctuation that you as a borrower would see. The rate's still going to be the same in most cases, if it does fluctuate at all from day to day or week to week. But in general, it's not going to be necessarily a change in the rate. It's going to be, okay, so today you're going to be getting a $500 credit for X rate, and tomorrow you're getting a $200 credit, and Thursday you're getting, you're going to be paying $100 for the rate. So very small fluctuations in rate, which is nice. It makes my job easier. I'm not complaining. But at the end of the day, it's been a nice, smooth trend. Unfortunately, I don't have a crystal ball. I wish I did, to know what's coming down the road. But in general, I don't think that things are going to drastically change anytime soon. And in terms of fluctuations, the area where you have to be a little bit more cautious as a borrower is higher risk loans. And what I mean by that is condos, investment properties, second homes. Those types of transactions are going to see more fluctuation in rate just because they're higher risk. And it's really just a product of what that specific investor that's offering XYZ rate is looking to take on risk-wise as things push forward. But in general, things are very, very flat, very consistent. So it's it makes my job easy, like I mentioned before. Not a lot of fluctuation, which is nice.
All right, so we have this kind of new normal going on with COVID, but we did just have an election. So did we see any changes around the election in the markets?
Yeah, I mean, I personally was quite concerned that we might see some widespread changes or drastic fluctuations, and technically we did, but it only lasted one day. So over the weekend, when Biden was confirmed with the electoral votes to get the presidency, the following Monday we saw the stock market change drastically, kind of almost, in my opinion, an overreaction to the change. I guess what I would say is, as human beings, change is not something that we like. Even if it's bad, we like consistency. So when it comes to the fluctuation that we saw on that Monday, I think it was just an overreaction to the new president getting that nod. But the following day, things went back to normal, and they have consistently been right where they were before the election since then. Actually, in some cases, rates have improved. So I don't really think that we're going to see any drastic changes with regards to the presidency anytime soon. Essentially, Biden, or however things play out moving forward in terms of policies and things of that nature, we would need to see a drastic shift in one direction or the other for market to fluctuate I mean, it's going to go up, if anything. It's not going to go down. Rates are at all-time lows. I can't even imagine rates going any lower than this. Knock on wood, I don't, again, have a crystal ball, but I think that if anything, rates would go up. But I don't see that happening anytime soon, especially in connection to the election. The fluctuations that we would have seen have already passed, and we're back to the way we were right before the election. There was only one day of fluctuating rates.
All right, so you've touched on this a little earlier, but other than the election, is there anything else that could cause rates to fluctuate, or do you see things being pretty consistent?
I mean, I think we can all agree that at this point, with COVID-19, we really can't project anything out more than a couple weeks, even in some cases. So I guess what I would say is I don't necessarily I can't think of anything off the top of my head that would cause a massive change to the market. As a consumer, if you're looking for a guideline to what changes may come, you could take a look at the stock market. If stock market is up, rates are going to go up. If stock market is down, rates are going to go down. It's kind of not a linear connection, but it's a good indicator as to what is going on. Obviously, in the case of that Monday after the election, the market, went the way it did, and our market, mortgage-backed security market, kind of mirrored that. So that is something that you can use as an indicator. I think, obviously with a herd immunity and possible vaccination coming, I think that could affect things, but not in a negative way. Realistically, I don't think that would increase rates. Essentially, the idea is very simple, that for rates to increase, that means people need to be in a better financial standing. That means they can afford to pay higher interest rates on mortgages. with the job market where it is, with everything still so undecided, and the idea that maybe things will come back to something normal by this time next year. I think foreseeably, again, please don't hold me to it, but I think foreseeably rates are going to stay, at the threshold that we're currently at, which for an average borrower, you're looking anywhere from 2.25 to 2.5, 2.75 for any number of these transactions that I've mentioned.
All right, so we've talked about refinancing, but how about buying a new home or a new property? Is it also a good time to do that?
Absolutely. Well, I say absolutely from my aspect of things, which is the financing aspect. So, rates are low, of course, which means technically you can afford a more expensive home because the cost of financing is less. Now, from that aspect of things, it's great. But from the purchase aspect of things, that's the other side of the coin. That's why it's always important to have a really good real estate agent. I'm only half of the transaction, if not maybe even a little bit less than that. But in this case, what I'm talking about is, competition, right? So at least here in my local market, the DMV, which stands for DC, Maryland, and Virginia, it's always been a very hot market. I have clients bidding, $25,000 over list price just to get an opportunity to possibly get their offer accepted. They're waiving all contingencies, which, personally, I don't love. I like to protect my borrowers. The contingencies on contracts for appraisals, inspections, financing, they help create a cushion that I can make sure that if something goes awry, I can get my client out of the contract and get their earnest money deposit back. But with that being said, it's not yet seen how things will move forward. Typically, we're going to be coming into the slow part of the real estate market in terms of purchases, just given the colder temperatures and no one wants to move in the middle of winter. But actually, from the statistics, they haven't dropped off to the point that they typically do. And I actually think just because of COVID-19 that purchases will continue to stay pretty steady throughout the colder part of the year. Maybe it's a little dips here or there, especially around the holidays, but in general, it's a great time for financing purposes to purchase. The other side of the coin, though, as I mentioned, is how much are you going to spend to get that home under contract, to get your offer accepted. Right now, in a lot of areas, you're going to be, spending a little bit more because the competition is high. But it also could be a great time if you're selling. It's obviously a great time because of the competition. But then, you kind of eat a little bit when you're purchasing because you got to spend a little bit more. So, there's two sides to every coin, obviously. And from the financing aspect, it's a great time to purchase.
Great. So with that in mind, how long is it taking to refinance?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, when it comes to refinances, I'll touch on that in a second. Purchase loans, they have deadlines. You got a close date of, December 24th. We have to make that close date. So all mortgage companies put purchase loans first in the way they work their loans, just because there is no leeway there. Too many people involved with the transaction to just willy-nilly push a close date because you can't get it done. You have to get it done by that time frame. And obviously, AAFMAA Mortgage Services works the exact same way. When it comes to refinances, that's where things have been delayed a bit longer. I mean, the reality of the situation is everyone is working, for the most part, obviously, as you can see, me included, from home. And so the infrastructure that you're working with, things just don't move as quickly when we're all spread out working from home. Number one. Number two, with rates so low, there's a very, very large influx of new loans coming in daily. So that perpetuates longer turn times. I've spoken with clients at a number of different other entities that they've been investigating in terms of who they want to go with for their loan, and the turn time is 120, 90 days, which sounds crazy, but with just a large volume of loans coming in, it's the reality of things. Thankfully, here at AAFMAA Mortgage Services, we've been able to maintain a much shorter turn time. You're looking at anywhere from 30 to 45 days, 60 at the longest, and that's typically only going to arise if there's some sort of issue that pops up that delays closing, as in, say, paying off a secondary lien or getting a lien released for like a HELOC or something like that you have on the property. But in general, our turn times have been a little bit delayed, but not nearly as delayed as a lot of the other companies out there. which is great. Moving forward, we're staffing up. We're doing everything we can to make sure that we can deliver the refinance in a reasonable amount of time. And moreover than that, what we're doing is, especially from the loan officer standpoint, my job as a military mortgage advisor is I know what our turn time is. I'm going to set that expectation up front with you as the borrower, let you know what the anticipated close date is. And then I'm going to make sure that when we do go ahead and lock in your interest rate, we're locking it in for a period of time that will cover you from the lock date to the anticipated close date and fund date of that loan, so that even if it is a little bit longer than we would all like, you're still going to be guaranteed that interest rate and nothing's going to change. You're not worrying about your lock expiring and being subject to market rate and possibly a higher rate if the market has gotten worse. So we're definitely aware of the turn times and doing everything we can, but we're also going to, build in all of these things up front and make sure that we very accurately calculate the lock term needed and get you that lock term to make sure that you have no worries moving forward, however long it may take, that we're going to make sure we get you closed and that your lock won't expire before that happens.
Great, thank you. So taking a look at the questions, we covered a lot of the broader topics that were asked, and we have some more situational questions coming in. So for those, anyone who has questions about their specific situation, I'm going to collect those questions and hand them over to Kevin after this presentation, so you can have a one-on-one conversation about those. So if anyone's looking for more information, Kevin, who can they contact?
So absolutely, yes, I'm always here and available, and I think there's gonna be a slide that pops up here in a minute with all my contact information. But I'm just one of a very large staff of very skilled, knowledgeable military mortgage advisors here at AAFMAA. The direct number that you can call just to get on the phone with someone is 1-844-244-0564, and then the email address is mortgage@afmaa.com. So you guys can reach out to either of that phone number or email. Of course, you got my information there as well. But we're all here to help. I'm just one person, so I do as best I can, but we have a great team, a great staff. As a non-for-profit, our job is to provide information like this and do everything we can to help you as veterans and active duty military to get the information and the support you need from a mortgage financing standpoint to make the best decision and achieve whatever goal you may have, whether it's buying a new home or saving money on a monthly basis. That's what we're here for. So please reach out, let us know what we can do. Without you guys, we wouldn't exist. So thank you so much for tuning in this morning. I really appreciate your time. I hope this was helpful, and certainly look forward to doing this again in the future. And any other questions, I look forward to speaking with you guys one-on-one to assist you further in your particular scenario.
Great, thank you so much, Kevin. Thank you so much for joining us live and having this conversation with us. All of this recording will be provided for all of our listeners after the fact. It will be up on afmaa.com/webinars, so you can review the information. And again, Kevin's contact information is here on the slide. Feel free to reach out to him personally or to go to afmaa.com/mortgage to just get more general information. Thank you again for tuning in, and we look forward to talking to you next time. Bye.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye. Stay safe.